Hi, this is Soulgazer. So today we'll be looking at the new NBA jersey, ones for 2020, 2021. It feels kind of weird because they still have the season going for the 2019-2020 season, but because of the delay, they're already starting to sell the next season's model. So I actually recorded another video for 2020-2021 season, but as a Warriors fan, as a Dub Nation, I thought it wouldn't be right if I didn't start the season off with my home team. So today, I'll be looking at this jersey. This is Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry, 2020-21 season, Swingman jersey. I believe there's already authentic jersey available. I forgot which store. Haven't picked them up yet, but I'll probably do, and I'll probably do a review on those too. So please look forward to that. But for today, we'll be looking at this. So today, I'll be doing the regular jersey review as well as a comparison with the last year's model. We'll be using Klay Thompson for 2019-2020 season jersey. But first, let's look at this jersey. By the way, the poly bag that they used this year are slightly different. The material that they use are a little bit more stiffer and thicker than the previous year. And they also have a sticker right here too. And before I get into the review, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video. Appreciate your support, and let's look at this jersey. So just by looking at it, you can't really tell any difference between the previous year and this year's model. The design itself are the same from the previous season. They did a redesign on the logo once they moved to the Chase Center. So that's the same. The color looks the same as before, but if we look at the detail, maybe we'll see something different. And the first thing I notice is this tag. So the hang tag is placed differently. It's now stitched right here on the shoulder seam. It used to be on the side, on one side and the other side. So it used to be in two different places. Now it's in this strap. So if you were to display this, it's easier tied compared to the ones that used to stick out on the underarm. And let's see where it's made at. It's made in Guatemala, size 52, which is extra large. This is my usual size. I've been wearing size extra large for the past couple seasons since they moved to Nike. In the old Adidas days, I used to wear large, but because Nike's jerseys are made a little bit smaller and shorter, especially on home and away color, I had to go up a size. The neckline is just as usual. Wishbone collar, probably my least favorite, and you can see why. It's a little off. This side is a little bit higher up than this side. It's pretty hard to stitch this curve on a knit fabric, especially with rib knit, so it's probably the reason that it's not consistent with its shape. The curves are off between left and right, and this is a common issue with this type of collar. The rib knit is made with two different yarns, yellow yarn, white yarn, and they go around the neck and meet right here. There's also a white stitch to make sure these both ends are staying together at the point. For the armhole, it's a solid yellow. Little bit of warping around here. Not as bad as before though. So there is no Rakuten patch on this side because this is not purchased at the team store. It was purchased at Nike.com, I think. So that's why they don't have it. On the other side is Nike swoosh. This is printed on. You can see the texture right here. And it feels like a rubber type of finish on the surface. To the main part, which is a logo, Golden State Warriors. These letters are separated. Same thing as the bottom. They are individually cut and heat pressed. And because of that, there's a lot of white edges. So all these corners where the cut was made, they are not yellow, so you can see a little bit if you look at it closely. Same thing with the main part, the circle piece. All these white lines. If you have been following me for a little while, I'm sure you're aware of it, but I hate this line. I hate how you can't see where that border is. And the emblem itself is a single patch. So it starts on the outer rim with matching color as a base fabric. And yellow is printed, blue is also printed. This base fabric is white, and they just do a screen print on it and use a heat, cut it into a circle and heat press right here to the main part. So same thing with the Warriors. Each letters are cut individually, so you can see all these like white lines right here. On this one is not as bad, but because on the emblem, they go out towards the blue side, so you can see this a lot better than if you have it on the yellow. The yellows are so bright that even if you see all these white, it's blending a little bit better, but because they have a blue, and white in the middle, just makes it a little bit more noticeable with all the contrast. And if you look at it like in this distance, you can tell that these two colors are not matching. The patches are a little bit darker compared to the base fabric. This one has a little bit more closer to like navy-ish color, whereas this one is more royal blue. The screen print quality is okay. You can see the bleeding of these colors and where it matches. It turns into a little bit of green. It does bother me a little bit. You can see there too. Has like a little bit of lime type of tone to it. I prefer these lines to be a little bit more crisp. But if you want that detail, you probably need to get an authentic version. The number is printed on. So for a player that is not as popular, Nike wouldn't produce a jersey for them because it costs too much to produce all the players. So only the star players will be produced by Nike. And for instance, Eric Pascal, his jersey probably wouldn't be made by Nike. So what will happen is the team store will have a blank one of these, and instead of having the number right here printed on, they'll use an additional patch to put the jersey number on. I forgot what number he was, maybe 8 or something. So they'll use a separate patch, kind of like these, and they use a heat adhesive, heat press, and patch that on, glue it on top of this twill. So for those cases, you'll have one extra layer on top of this base twill fabric. That's pretty much it with the logo. And there's some change right here. On the bottom, until last season, we used to have the Nike Connect tag showing that this jersey has an NFC tag in this patch right here. But this year, you can see that it has Swingman, same thing as before. NBA, same thing. Size, same thing. But this part is no longer a Nike Connect logo. That's because they got rid of it. I could care less about it. I don't miss it. It still costs the same. But now it's just a swoosh with no chip inside. So that's one big thing that have changed since the last season. As far as the look goes, it looks pretty much the same. So let's look at the back now. So this is how the back looks. At a glance, nothing looks different. The neckline is extending from the front, so it's the same thing as earlier. Same thing with the armhole. Since this is a Swingman, it's connected at the underarm seam, and it's all the way. If this was authentic, then the ribnet will be cut off right here, and from here to the bottom will be part of the base fabric. But that's only for the authentic. That's how you tell if this jersey is made with authentic or Swingman class. NBA logo, same as before, nothing have changed. Still the same type of print. Curry, it's in yellow. Twill fabric, that is screen printed yellow, so that's why you see that white line again. So if this was a the white jersey, the home color, then you probably wouldn't have noticed any of these white line, but it's just because this is a home away color with a blue base, it's a little more noticeable. The quality looks okay. There's a little issue with this right here. They messed it up. Right here. They messed up on cutting this corner or the curve. Doesn't look good. But other than that, it looks like a standard Curry jersey. And number 30. Same font from last season. Nothing much has changed here as well. And that's about it. And here's the side panel. It's the thin one with a trim in the middle. This ribbon is a separate piece. They are stitched onto this white fabric. And this white fabric is a single piece. So you can see here. So all they did was stitch this blue piece on top of the white, and they stitched the white to the base body parts. There is no cutout on the hem because this is a Swingman jersey. So it's just straight across. It's hard to tell if this is a 2019 or 2020 season or 2021 season jersey, except for the fact that the logo is new. You could tell that's not the older one, but you still can't tell if it's from last season or this season, unless you look at it into a detail, kind of like, for instance, this one. If you look at this, you probably could tell if this is a new one or old one, but if you're wearing it and no one's gonna look at your tag and say anything about it, so if you don't care too much about the detail being different from previous year to this year, I don't think you need to purchase the new one yet. That's my first impression. But since I have the last year's model, we'll be taking a closer look at it. So it's been a little while since I did a comparison, especially this detail. Mostly because I have a little bit less time to make videos now with my work. So I hope you enjoy this comparison. So let's take a look at these two together. So like I said earlier, Klay Thompson is last year's model. This year's model is Stephen Curry. So with the hang tag I mentioned earlier, it's placed in a different location. It's in the shoulder, whereas the old one was here. And you could actually still see this tag, the plastic piece. So I wore this jersey several times, but I never noticed I still had this thing stick in here. So I feel kind of stupid now. So they used to have one on this side and one on this side. But now they made it into one place. And also they have extra tag now. It's also a different tag too. I don't think they had this one before. It looks a little different. The back looks the same, but this side looks a little different. Can't remember. Not 100% sure, but it might be a different design. The standard fit, they had this in the past. Dry fit fabric, kind of new. It's in like a packet now. Maybe it was like that before too, but they have something in the middle. Made was at least 75% recycled fibers, moved to 0. This is something new that Nike has been doing with the jerseys. If you look at Nike.com's website with like LeBron James, they actually have something like this, like sustainable material or something. That's something new that they started doing towards the end of the season or current season. So 2019-2020 season. Some of the jersey, they start to label this. I'm not sure if it's any different, but now they have this tag. And the sticker for the size, the layout looks the same. It's different from the first year. The first year, there was no QR code in the tag. So this whole section was made with barcode. But from last season, they started using QR code. Move to 0, Nike swoosh, 2017. So slightly different here. So this is 2019-2020 model. The opening between these two are 8.5. For this year, it's still 8.5. So right here, there is no difference. The opening between the distance here, it's about 4.25 for the last year. For this year, it's also the same, 4.25. So around the neckline, nothing has changed. The shape is the same, the fabric are the same, and the color has not changed. And personally, I like this one better than this one. You can see here, it's a little uneven, but this one is even. So if you're getting Warriors jersey, make sure to go to the store and pick it up, because this part looks a lot better than this one too. It's a lot more straighter on this guy. Still not perfect because the curve right here is not as smooth as this side. But same thing here. This one smoother here. This one has like a little too much curve cutting into the rib knit. So those are the small things that you have to worry about when you get a jersey with wishbone collar. So it's definitely my least favorite type of collar that they offer. So let's measure the distance from here to here. See how much opening it has. So it's about 9.5. So when I press it down, it's about 9.25. For this jersey, 2020 season, it's actually smaller. So it's actually 9 inches. So the amount of opening around the armhole is smaller on this year's model. So if you like to have a lot of space, you will get the last year's model. If you want to fit a little bit tighter around the armhole, then this year is better. So that's one difference. So the top one is last year, the bottom one is this year. And you can see that it's a little bit more tighter curve along this one. You can see the fabric. And I think it's because the size of the armhole has changed. That's why it's showing a little bit more. But these little things, it varies by the seamstress too, so it's kind of hard to say that they're all smaller. But I'm just giving you the idea that it could be a little smaller. Let's look at the armpit to armpit. And this is last year's. 24 and almost half. I think this is just a variation by the seamstress, so I don't think it's any different than the usual size. And for this year, it's 24 and almost a half. So this is last year's hem. It's about 25 inches, a little bit shorter, 25. And this is this year. Around the same. This could be a little bit shorter or narrower, but they're about the same size. Nothing major has changed, or could be just a variation of the seamstress. But the big difference that I mentioned earlier, this is last year, this year. So this is last year's tag, this year's tag. Same font, same font. Last year's Jerry West is a little bit more grainy, whereas this one, the white looks a lot more dense. See all these grains? Whereas this one is a little bit more solid. So slight difference there. 52, 52, same font, engineered. Not sure what this means, but they have it for every model. Nike Connect. So if you touch inside, you could feel that there's an NFC tag in here. See, you can feel this. But for this year's, there's nothing, so it's a lot more flexible. This is the side seam for last year. It's a little short of 20 inches. This year, it's exactly 20 inches. And the reason of the variation might be from this being used. I have worn these and also washed these, so it might have shrunk a little since when I first purchased them. The swoosh looks the same as well. Same type of print on both sides. This is this year's model, last year's model. I don't see any difference to it. Golden State, last year, this year. Nothing has changed here as well as the size for the logo. You can see that they're at the same size. It's matching pretty well. Same thing goes with the NBA logo. There is no change been made, as well as the name. Still use the same fabric and the jersey number. They are matching pretty well. So here's the side seam or side panel. Same type of construction, but if you look at it closely, there is a little difference. Last year, this year. So if you look at it closely, the perforation on these two are slightly different. Last year is a little bit longer compared to this year. So inside there's like 1-2 stitches, but the older one there's about 4. So it might be like double the length on the last year's model, and this year it's a little bit more tighter, smaller perforation. Let's look at the base fabric. This is last year, this year. For these two, they look the same. It's just for this fabric, it looks slightly different, just on the white. The ribbon looks the same. And one thing that I really noticed is this year's logo compared to last year's. The bleeding are a little bit stronger on this year's. So this is last year's model, Klay Thompson. There's a little bleeding, but it's not that bad. Look at this side, the bridge. There's a bleeding, a little bit like green, lime color going on at the very edge. But this is this year. And these bleeding are a little bit stronger, more noticeable than last year's model. So because of that slight difference in bleeding, this one in person looks a little bit more greenish than this one. So that's pretty much it for the comparison. Most of the things are the same, at least for this jersey. Nothing much has changed since last year. Slight difference or variation in the armhole, but that's about it. And the color difference between these two. You can see this one a little bit more orange. This one has a little bit more greenish tone to it. It's not just the lighting, it's just the way that the print colors are bleeding to the other color. So the season is just ending. So it's gonna be a while until we see these on court. But let me know how you feel about it. I got about 5 jersey in hand. I did a review for 3 of them now, including this one. So it's just waiting to be edited and uploaded to YouTube. So please look forward to those videos. I also have one more comparison video from last season, so I'll be doing that soon. But I just wanted to get this out first, so hope you enjoy this video. If you have, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as well as liking the video. Appreciate your support, and see you next time.